Welcome to the Life of Hair. My name's James Atkinson. In this week's episode, you are joining me from my garden due to the fact that we are in quarantine measures here in the UK. And I thought it'd be fun just to do something in the garden, off the cuff. And it's also going to tie in really nicely to what I did yesterday, which was my Facebook Live for Redkin at 1 o'clock. I hope you were there. And if you were, thank you very much for tuning in. Now, in that Facebook Live, I will have mentioned that this particular look was created in a very simple technique that I'm going to talk you through now. It's a really easy way of doing a balayage in the salon. It's more of an ombre, actually. Let's get the facts right, because I always get annoyed when people call one thing and one thing another. The technique does create more of an ombre type of effect, but we're going to turn it into a balayage with the toner. So I hope you enjoy the technique, and if you do, then smash that thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe and chat to me down in the comments and tell me if you enjoyed this off the cuff episode in my garden. Okay, super simple pre-section technique here. What we're going to do is take a section down the center of the head through to the highest point at the top of the head, just like that, straight through the middle. Now we're going to do the pre-section for this technique exactly like we would for a set of highlights, or I would anyway. I'm going to take this center section and then I'm going to split it from the highest point of the head to the back of the ear. Using a piece of foil or whatever you can to clip it out of the way, we're going to then attach it to the hair, and that is going to create a nice clean subsection. So do exactly the same thing on this opposite side. So we've now got two front sections going down to the top of the ear. This doesn't have to be the most perfect piece of pre-sectioning you've ever done in your life due to the technique that we're going to use afterwards. I've then subdivided the hair straight down the back and created two more quadrants. I'm then going to take a horizontal section through from the middle of the occipital bone to the top of the back of the ear. I'm then going to take another section where I'm going to split this section into approximately half. We now have three sections in the back left-hand side. Now, at this point, we're going to apply a very small elastic band to this section. We want to make sure that the hair is 90 degrees out from the head shape when we're applying our elastic band. Pull the elastic band tight and make sure that the hair is coming straight out from the head shape. We're going to do exactly the same thing to the section underneath. Now on this top section, we do want to make sure that you elevate the hair straight out from the head shape. We now have 1, 2, 3 ponytails. In this front section, we're going to take our section through the parietal ridge. That is the ridge that is just above the ear. I'm going to place my comb flat on the surface of the head, where the head curves just above the ear, and that is going to be the center point of the parietal ridge. We're going to do exactly as we did in the back and put two elastic bands in these sections. Pull the sections tight to ensure that the hair is coming straight out from the head shape. And there we have it. 5 sections in this left-hand side. I'm going to repeat that on the opposite side exactly the same. So now we have got the pre-section in, as you just saw. In the true essence of being at home in quarantine, we are going to put on the dish gloves to do this. And if you watched yesterday's video, we will have seen these, sporting these again yesterday. This is due to the fact that my salon doesn't have any gloves in stock. I think they donated them to a hospice, which was very kind of them. But it meant that I didn't have any at home and I didn't have any in the salon. So we had to go with what we had, which was some black marigolds. I think they work quite well, actually. I might start wearing them all the time, I think, for such jobs. Okay, on with the technique. Really, really simple. I'm going to move myself around this side. So I've got my table to my right. Come here, table. So I've mixed up some bleach and I've got my comb still. And then we're just going to put our ponytails out of the way. A few choices when it comes to bleaching these sections. We can back comb for extra softness, but you will only get to colour probably the ends of the hair or the last third of the hair if you do that. Or we can go in and create kind of full saturation and then diffuse any hard lines that we created later. For the virtue of this particular technique, that is what we're going to do. So we're going to apply our lightener to the hair. We're not going to make a big deal about blending it or anything like that, anything crazy. We're just going to apply it very, very simply to the hair. This doesn't have to. So then we're going to simply get a foil or whatever you use to cover it up. It doesn't have to be foil, cling film, anything you like. Pop it on and just scrunch. Really, really simple. Now, many moons ago, I worked with a brilliant hairstylist. His name's Sung Hee Baek. You should go and check him out on Instagram. And he's from South Korea. And he did nearly all of his colouring work when I very first met him in this kind of scrunch a foil on fashion. He didn't put ponytails in, first of all. He just got his section, put the product on, and then just scrunched it in and then squeezed a foil around it. I found it very unorthodox at the time, but then many moons later when I was coming up with this technique and devising other things, I actually came to realise that how neat your foils are not relative to the outcome. You could have the messiest, most untidy foils on the planet. It doesn't mean that you're not going to do a good colour job. And I think we are a little bit fixated in the industry, certainly some stylists are, about how neat they've put their foils in, or how neat their balayage looks, or how neat this looks, or how neat that looks. And to be honest, I've come to find throughout my career that the neatness doesn't always transpire into a good result. And it's quite fun actually, as a professional hairdresser, spending hours and hours perfecting the techniques and the art of applying colour and etc, perfectly, and then to be able to just bash it on and squeeze the foil on. There's something really, really liberating about it. I know that there's some of you out there that can be like squirming at the idea that this is something that you could do to someone in the salon, but I do this technique, especially with tint in the salon. I use this a lot when I'm just changing the colour, only a couple of shades, and I don't need like maximum blending. I just need a little bit of lift, and I want to create it quickly, simply, easily, and it works a treat. And the clients have got no expectations specifically, of how you apply your colour, how you get the job done. To them, it's just like, well, they trust you. They want their hair a certain way. They believe that the technique that you're using is the answer. So, my clients don't question the techniques that I use anymore. They just take it for granted that I'm going to do, their hair exactly as they want it. And they don't really mind how I get on with it. There we have it. 1, 2, 3 sections, all complete. Now, just moving on to the front 2 sections or quadrants or whatever you want to call them. exactly the same technique is used. I'm going to apply the lightener up to the elastic band. Okay, there we have it. This whole side is complete. Very simple, very quick, very easy, very messy. Look, don't get too concerned about, you know, sections and neatness and all those kind of things. You can if you want, obviously. Look, it's your, you know, it's your style. You do what you like. You don't even need a brush if you don't want to. Did you see that? This is a brushless technique if you want it to be. Got a little bit of product here where we didn't want it to be, so always thin out the product. Don't just leave it there. You know, for it to process and create a blob. Just wipe it off with some tissue or a towel or something, preferably damp. If not damp, then dry tissue, and just thin out the product. It won't lift so well as soon as you thin out the saturation, if you create any mistakes anywhere. Okay, technique all finished, and we're just going to allow it to process now. And in this blazing hot sunshine, I think it's going to process pretty quickly. And then what I'm going to do is next Wednesday, we're going to do a whole new video on how to colour this hair, one side into an ombre and the other side into a balayage. So we'll be putting the ombre and the balayage back in over this pre-lightened hair. So I really look forward to seeing you next Wednesday for another episode of The Life of Hair. So don't forget, subscribe, hit the thumbs up, hit the notification bell so you do not miss out for next week's episode, where you'll be able to see this turned into something far more beautiful. Have a wonderful week. Look after yourself. Stay safe, stay sane. See you soon. The finished beach balayage effect. Super beachy, super textured. Finishing, just leaving a no blow dry cream to style it in the sun. But the end result of the balayage, I think you'll agree, is an absolute cracker, considering the amount of effort that didn't go into it. And it's created a beautiful blend at the roots due to the elevation of the elastic bands and the sections. And once we glaze this, which will be next Wednesday's video, the one that I did in my Instagram live last Tuesday, we are going to see an absolutely knockout colour. But I think even like this, I actually really like the way that it's come out as a technique. And you know what, guys, I said in the video, it doesn't need to be pretty sectioning, pretty placement, super nice foils for things to work out nicely. It just needs to be well thought through. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. And if you have, then hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and chat to me down in the comments. Tell me what you thought of this look and how it came about. And did you expect this kind of outcome from such a simple technique?